So, no, sorry, I had to, of course we were having breakfast, and I have to realize when I go anywhere, it's not that I just go anywhere, it's, 20 people stop me in the hall. And then I also have to realize 20 people stop me at breakfast. So, anyway, so, are you having fun still?
Yes.
Okay, good, okay. I brought my list here, and I'll show you some things. So, it's not also just about what is next year, but sort of how we came to it in trying to decide what to do over the next several story arcs. Because after we did, how many of you were at War of the Worlds? Okay. How many, this is your first con? How many came last time? Okay, all right. So War of the Worlds was more of what we call the traditional steampunk stuff, which it was. It was traditional, it was old-fashioned, H.G. Wells. And the problem was we needed a vehicle sort of like Procticus, but also something new to keep things moving for you, because there has to be a story, you have to, it's easier, we found out, much like, and you have to understand, when I worked at Disney, when you have characters, you can relate to them. Even though Mickey changes into different clothes, Donald Duck changes into different clothes, usually he's half naked, somebody will change into different clothes. The adventures are different, but it's still the same character. Well, that's sort of what we were trying here. So I needed time to figure out things, so that's why we did the Hawthorns, which was last year, which was, of course, our version of the Addams Family and the Munsters, and everything sort of rolled into one with a little Tim Burton. And so this year is the new ones. So there are the 3 stories. So it will be this one, Kraken Island, and could you go to the office, just knock and ask them for the little posters. They're against the drapes. Okay. They're 2 posters, yeah. And the next one will be called The Search for the Tear of Odin. And they are all based with the new character, Dr. R.J. Witherington. So each one is a little different. Each one will have the same characters, but each one will have an entirely new sort of a storyline. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I guess you could say it's like the Mummy movies. Yeah, there's a general theme, but they're all over the world. So when we started this one, I thought, well, we had done War of the Worlds. Then I purposely did Hawthorns because it was completely different, but I knew people wanted something goofy and sort of dark, but light-hearted, which a lot of people seem to like. So when we started this, we thought, let's do something with a story that everyone knows and everyone liked. And it's sort of weird when I pick things, but for some weird reason, everything starts percolating in the media again. And now his name escapes me, the main star of The Mummy, Brendan Fraser. Of course, started getting all the kudos for the whale, and all the other stuff, and it was like, The Mummy is making a resurgence. And of course, as soon as he was popular, The Mummy started coming back up. And it was funny, but one thing I noticed was everyone was really getting into The Mummy again, which was sort of fun. And we thought, this could be fun, we'll go through with this, but it's going to lead to different things, and different little sort of different adventures and different little stories. Someone's doing something I didn't know about. And this way, sort of like what we did with Procticus, Heath has something to do, but it's with a completely different character. But now instead of just trying to take over the world, he can go, oh, but you want to read this. Why? Because it's going to help me solve a problem. And then, ergo, we get to be involved more. Does that start making sense? So, it's still a little new. We're trying to figure out things, but he sort of has his legs now, I think, and he's like, I'm getting into this more. Because people still call me Dr. Procticus, and like, yeah, I think that'll end for this year, though. I said, just have him call you RJ. He goes, no, I just have to post more pictures. So that'll be something. The one thing we're going to be working on is having the actor who's going to play Jack do things with him in LA, so we'll have promos hopefully coming out with those two fools on the beach arguing, which should be very funny, because Janty is very good at it. He stays in character, and Heath will just play off of it. So when you see the two together, it's going to be a very much, you know, like, what are you? And it's like, well, who do you think I am? You know, that kind of thing, and you're going to see a lot of that interplay. So I think we'll have fun with it. Then the next one, so the one thing we had to figure out is some linkage. So the Hawthorns were sort of a small connector to get into Egypt. And they were never meant to be the main storyline this year, but I know a lot of you like them. How many, okay, let me ask you this. How many like the Hawthorns as an entity? Do you want to see more of the Hawthorns? Even if they pop up in the oddest places. So like if they were on an island, it's like, what are you doing here? We're collecting specimens of odd sea creatures.
I like the Adams family.
Yeah.
So that would work out for you guys. That would be funny. Okay. I gotta ask. I have to ask. So if they're like, look what we found. What is it? I don't know, but it has 26 legs. You know, that kind of thing. Okay, you guys. Okay.
Having the Hawthorns as the oddball relief would be amusing.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're disconnected, but they're there.
Yep.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
They even incorporate stuff.
What now?
Lady Hawthorne even incorporated stuff into her little...
Oh no, that's what we had designed it for. Yeah, that's what we designed it for.
Yeah, that's
Was
good.
Even
we wanted it to
Tom
be very,
started going on the trip.
yeah, we wanted it to be very integral. So yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Jack is not going to be in everything anymore. He's a one-shot.
Yeah.
And so are basically some of the other characters. Sven the Viking is a one-shot, even though it seems like there's going to be more of him. It's not. He's a one-shot. But again, he's sort of like a Hawthorne. He takes you as a bridge over to the net. You understand how I have small connectors?
Yeah.
So what happens? Oh, this is just the weekend game thing. So
I wasn't sure. I just grabbed them all.
So no one has seen this yet. This will be the first time you see it. It's going to be sort of hard to see, and maybe Betty.
I can walk around with it.
Yeah, because it is supposed to be dark. But this is the search for the Tear of Odin.
Ooh, nice.
And so the Tear of Odin is an entirely different story. It's all archaeologically based, though, which is going to be the fun part. And everyone's like, how do you do that with Vikings? It's not all about Vikings. Come on. We're supposed to be in 1895 by that point. So it does open, the story will open with, and now you're going to start seeing how these things mesh. We go to the island, we find the Vikings stuck. Because when a kraken kills you, you basically are stuck on the island. Your soul is stuck on that island. But he swam and made it, because he was the young Viking who made it. But as he puts it, yeah, I've been here for over 500 years. I miss lefse. What do you eat? Well, I make lefse out of coconuts and fill it with mangoes. It's all right. So that's one of the things we're going to try to have as like snacks around here is mango, like a mango coconut wrap. But at the end, I decided we'll take him back to Norway because it's a segue to get from A to B. And so I'm like, well, we'll take you back. Really? Yeah? Well, you're going to have a hard time understanding everybody because Norwegian's totally changed, and I don't even know if you're Norwegian. You could be Swedish or Danish or anything else. It's all the same to me. You know, that kind of thing, but we take him back. Well, while there, of course, something happens. And the government has to ask Witherington to find something, which of course he will. But the problem is, it's not a normal archaeological dig. He has to find it. So that story becomes open then, based a tiny bit on the next one. But the Tear of Odin is about what happens when Odin wants to have all knowledge and has to remove his eye. Well, it's the last tear that drops from his eye. And as it plummets to Earth, it turns into a giant blue diamond, which I've already purchased for 50 bucks on Amazon. And I'll tell you what I want to do. It's a fun. So Scott McKinster, you know Scott?
Yep.
We'll play Odin.
Oh.
And we'll film him in a dark room and, you know, you must remove your eyes. Yeah, I will. You know, and you see the tear, and as it drops, you know, we see the credits, and then there it is on the ground. It's a giant blue diamond. Of course, we have to film 3 really big, dumb Viking boys. What is it? I don't know. We should ask the Goda. And of course, I want my friend Sherry, who's only this tall, to play the Goda. She's 73 years old. She's this real petite little thing, but she has one of those faces that's really sweet, but if you get her to say the right thing, it's like really funny. And they bring it to her and she goes, "It's the tear of Odin, you lutefisk heads." And of course she slaps them all, and they're like, "Ooh," and she goes, "Take care of it, it's very, very dangerous, put in the wrong hands." Oh. So she walks away, and of course they proceed to make a covering, which you will have a chance to get. So we will have miniatures, and it is a giant raven's head with the wing wrapped around it. And it's a huge pendant, carved in wood. Ours will be resin. So we then proceeded, it'll say like 3 months later, and now you'll understand why the story is weird. We get into old mythologies, and I'm going, just so you understand, we're going into heavy nautical mythology next year, and the year after it'll be heavy Norwegian mythology, and then, well, then there's something else. So, at 3, you hear this, and he gets out of his little hut or whatever, and you see the first guy runs and goes, "Troll! Troll!" We have to film on miniature giant guys coming down. He's like, "Quick, pick the eye of Odin." Why? "I don't know." So, of course, they run up to it and do it, and you just see the ogre go, "Oh," and it breaks. "Yeah, even in the darkness of night, the shining light of Odin saves us." So, you know, that it's a troll killer. And several months go by, and you hear the minister go, "But then it was lost in time," and you just see it fall off a cart in the mud. So when Witherington goes, "But where exactly do you think this thing is?" "Well, we have a pretty good idea. Somewhere in here," which is the line I love mostly. "That's the entire southern part of Norway." "Well, yeah, but we know it's in the southern part." And that's where the thing ensues. So for 4 years I've been getting ready with a lot of the folklore. So things like in the Danish countries and that, Scandinavians, they used to bury cats or dogs alive in the cemeteries to protect the dead, and they felt the spirit would ward off anything trying to hurt the dead. And one of the things that these things did is they became very large cats, or almost like wolves, and they would chase people away. So that will be one of the scenes. You will see a ghostly apparition of something chasing RJ and Jones out of the cemetery. We're going to go heavy into ruins that year. We're going to go into a lot of folklore, like, and again, it's folklore, but it's also going to be archaeological. But the more you read about it, the more, I think Barbara will understand what I'm saying here, because she knows a lot of this. A lot of it is not interchangeable. It's very connected. And so their version of gnomes and that are not just folklore. It's sort of part of it. And there's a very specific part to things. So they will be dealing a lot with that as they're trying to find this damn stone, which will be the other fun part. And if I have my way with the escape room, you will see a lot of like ruins that glow, and you know, when you touch certain rocks, things will and everything pops up. We can't have a troll. No, give me a break. I can't do that. I know. It's like I can't produce a 150-foot person, but we'll have some fun with other stuff. So it'll be cute. And then the year after that,
Oh, yep.
where it finishes. And that's Mary Bobbins, and it does say the Clockwork Boy. You have to see it in the light. It's Mary Bobbins and the Clockwork Boy. And it is not Mary Poppins. It's based, I'm basing it loosely on the story, but it's Mary Bobbins and the Clockwork Boy. And if you understand that her last name, she plays my mechanical daughter who I built for my brother and his wife who have now passed. Their kids are outgrown the house, they are now at university, and she decides to ship herself back to me. And in fashion, like Mary Poppins, you think she's there to take care of the father. But the story flips, and I decide to take care of Mary, because Mary's been alone all these years as a robot. And she discovers the only big set I want to build is my laboratory. So for the first time, you'd see all the gears and cogs, and me with funny little lenses. And she sees this head on a table, and she picks it. I said, "Put him down, Mary. Who is he? It's none of your business. Put him down now." And I get a little rude with her, and I, cover him. She goes, "He looks sad. That was you before I made you. He didn't work. His name was Bobby. He didn't work at all. That's the end of the story. Now leave." And of course, she can't. So she comes back in and starts falling in love with what could have been. And so I have to figure out how to make it work. That's the story. So it's a reverse Mary Poppins, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of characters in it. It's just, but you have to think of it in those terms. So anyway, more for next year. We wanted to hit a lot of themes, and throughout the years, a lot of people have kept saying to me, "You really want a temporal theme?" I'm like, you just can't pull one out of the thin air. And so when we were doing the research on the troll stuff, it became apparent, and someone said, "You do know the Kraken was a Norwegian tale." I'm like, I didn't know that. So the more I looked in, I was like, oh, it is a Norwegian tale. Danish, whatever. So that was sort of interesting, but none of the movies have ever portrayed it like that. So, of course, Sven is like, "We were out to kill the Kraken. Why didn't you? It killed us." So he's stuck there. That's the one part, but I wanted something nautical. But in order for it to be fun, I thought, what if we are on an island that, because of the Kraken, temporal time doesn't work. It's just, once you're there, you're stuck. So, like I said, there'll be a Roman senator who's very obnoxious. It's like, he can't speak English at all. It's all old Latin or whatever it is. I forget what the exact term is. But my favorite line that he's always, whenever he gets frustrated, he says, "Mamma mia!" and then walks away. And he's upset. And Jack, he does that a lot. Why? I don't know. He does it around me. And that will be one thing. But the idea is this island isn't what it seems to be. And that's going to be the big secret. We won't tell you until next year. There is something to the island, and it's more than just an island. And it's more than just a home to the Kraken. So, but I promised everyone a nautical theme. Everyone likes the nautical stuff. So it is a nautical theme, but also we're going to do nautical airships. We're going to do the town. I think we'll probably just call it Port Royal, because why the hell not? It's easy. And that'll be the town like 100 nautical miles north, and so, but it's 1894. So we have some research to do, but 1894 in the Caribbean may not look as different as you think from 1820 or so. I mean, it didn't change all that much. So that's going to be sort of fun. But we'll have a lot, it'll be a lot of sea shanties and a lot of dancing and a lot of that kind of stuff. Expect to see a lot of signage that's done on driftwood and roping. And you get the point? So, all right. So, I suppose I'll come down to this. We'll see how good my voice is. So the first thing is Friday night steerage ball, which will now be the Buccaneers. And that will be the more high-flinging, goofy, you know,
Yeah.
small, well, squeeze box, I like to say,
Yeah.
squeeze box, sorry.
Concertina?
Yeah, concertina, yeah, thank you. And, all right, what to show you? So, these are just from different things, but, you know, what Sven might look like, a young biker. And right now, I'm not exactly sure how we're gonna do him, if he's gonna be in his 30s, if he's gonna be in his 20s. I keep thinking we might make him younger, because he's the one that got away, because he was the
Right.
kid they brought along. He's like, yeah, I'm 500 years old, but I'm still only 22. It's like, it's your Jackson, it's your 522 years old. That kind of thing. It's like, no. You know, the other joke is Jack teaches him English, so he does use Jackisms. Like, yeah, you understand me, savez? We don't say that, that's French. We don't say that. And he's just confused by everything. No one speaks Normandy. Oh, yeah, you know, not Normans. And it's like, you know, so we'll have it relate a little. And of course, Jack is with that all the time about it. But he's going to be a different character. He's sort of Jack's foil, if that makes any sense. So his version of things is going to be far. He's been there much longer, obviously. We don't really know how Jack was stuck there. He's just stuck there, probably left off by some boat. And the joke is, you know, he's like, yeah, I have to deal with all these really stupid people on this island. Right? They're really old, and they think they know everything. Everyone knows that the edge of the world is here, not there. You know, that kind of thing. And Jack is like, he's never been upside down in the world, right? And with Witherington going, you're all cracked, you know, that you're all just cracked. Yeah, everyone knows the Earth goes around the sun. You know, it's just, we have to keep playing on goofy scientific things and bring it up to date to the 1890s. So I thought that would be fun for people. But while you're on the island, and I don't have a printout of it because you're testing it to see how it prints already, there are hieroglyphics. And I can't, that's part of the big secret. I can't tell you what the hieroglyphics are from. But they are all new hieroglyphics, and they're going to be ones where you get, I'm thinking you're going to see, you will have printouts that look like stone tablets, and you'll have to like use those as maps. But there will be things all over the place. So if you're on the Port Royal, they'll have a few, but the further back you go, it'll be more, well, this is a marker. What does it say? And some might light up, some may not. It all depends what they're for. There's two colors, which I'll show you in a minute. There's blue and there's orange, and those have significance. And you're probably going, what the hell is he saying? So, in preparation, where we thought we would go with this one this year, originally it was going to be in like Brazil or the Yucatan region. So it would have been southern, upper part of South America. I wanted to do something, but I watched a lot of the show on Nickelodeon, Mysteries of the Hidden Temple. And I was thinking, okay, we could have adults do a lot of this, you know, the floor is lava, you know, all kinds of goofy stuff. But I really got to like something. And that something is the Olmec character. So,
Not at the museum.
Olmec, what?
Not at the museum.
Sort of, yeah. This isn't going to be the final version of him, but he will be a 7-foot-tall talking puppet. He will be a big puppet. And the idea is he will give the directions to the teams on what to do. One of the lines I already wrote is, I can't believe I'm talking to a giant rock. I can't believe I'm talking to a stupid human. You know, and he plays it right back at him in order to get it. So the main story, I should clarify. It is based on, if you want to read up on it, we're going to have links to some fairly good stories. There is a group, The Treasure of 1715. So if you understand that, the Queen's Chest, we've added a bit to it. I informed Witherington we found bottles. And he's like, what's in them? And look at the bottle. And he pulls it out and he goes, that's a chart. What's there? That's the point, we don't know. No one's ever been there for some odd reason. And then you keep going and you realize that things are happening. Of course, I send him there, and that's where all hell breaks loose, because he gets there with an airship, which has never happened. So the Kraken can't get them. And of course, Jack is like, what's an airship? Well, it's a ship, but flies in the air. But we can go in the ocean. We can go under the ocean. So it's a submergible dirigible, but it is an airship. You think I'm crazy. And that's the kind of joke. He's like, it's perfectly scientific. But again, there's more to it than that. And the idea of Olmec is he's combined with two characters of rock crabs, which will be real puppets that will really talk and do the whole. You have to think Waldorf and Statler. So if you think Waldorf and Statler, you get the idea of what these little buggers are going to do. And they are made of rock. When I say rock crabs, they probably don't have quite the ears that we're going for here, but they will be more, not crab, they're not crab-like, but they're creatures. And they will scurry. And when they scurry, you hear them, and they rattle off. Well, they're, stupid sparrow, I know it's so stupid. Olmec finds out, and they have to tell Olmec everything. So of course he's standing there, he's like, oh, your graciousness, and he's like, this is Dr. Witherington. Yes, I'm a doctor, I'm a professor. What are you? I'm a rock. Well, obviously, and who ever heard of a talking rock? Who ever heard of a dumb English professor? You know, they're going to have a lot of play. But the thing is, there are reasons to have blue and orange rocks. There's going to be a lot of stuff with the hieroglyphics, and you have to try to figure out what the colors mean, what the sayings mean. And for people who aren't in the game, there's still going to be stuff to do. So you'll still have several things to do during the weekend, like certain stones, certain charts, and you can find things. I'm thinking we might do something where, who's the lady who hit all the rocks?
Judy.
Judy. So something like that, probably not that many, not 500 rocks, but love her to death though, it was so damn cute.
But I couldn't find one.
You couldn't? I only saw two, but she gave me one, but I only found two.
Found a lot of worms, but.
Yeah, I know. The worm people were everywhere. So, but with the little guys here, they're made to be sort of the foil of the foil. It's like, you know, they're going to be the, you know, we've seen better, you know, better dead octopus on a plate in, you know, Jersey, you know, that kind of stuff. So, and of course, Jack said, I don't like those things. You know, he's always making comments, and, you know, that's what people do. So I want to have a lot of layers of goofiness to make everyone play. And they aren't going to be necessarily in the breakouts. They're going to be popping up, which will be the fun thing. The last ones, if it works, we have to figure out how to make them. There'll be 3 cavemen. In your job, what did the cavemen? Well, they've been there the longest. Obviously, they're stuck there. But you don't know why they're stuck there. And they weren't on a boat. There was a reason why they're there. However, they're the only things that will fit in a dinosaur's mouth. So if you think about when the dinosaur eats a person, and he's like, frozen, and another one pops up and goes, oh, that's not good. Yes, that's where you're going to see a lot of those kind of jokes. But you can't, somebody goes, why do you use real cavemen? It's going to be really hard. Ed can't lift that, you know, 250 pounds in his mouth, even with a robot. So, but the robots are all new. Ed has said you do not see the legs, you do not see the feet. Everything is self-contained, everything is animatronic. The eyes can blink, you can do all kinds of things now, which we did not have 10 years ago, 11, and we do it. They redesigned them all, and he swears he has a 30-foot one he wants to bring up, a baby Brachiosaurus or Brontosaurus, where he wants to have a tie contest to see who looks better up here or down here. He thinks that. And he goes, we're doing the T-Rex again, aren't we? And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah, I want you to do the T-Rex. No, I mean like T for T-Rex. We're doing that again, right? I said, yes, we'll have a T-Rex photo opportunity for everybody. So you can sit there with the T-Rex and have your picture taken drinking tea. Because why the hell not? So we don't have the art yet. Lynn is doing it right now, actually. She just got it on the 22nd. Procreate released a new version that we can animate. And we're making the maps. So the island is actually 5 connected circles, like a target. The center is a volcano. So that should give you a little bit of a clue of why things are orange. The idea is, when I talk to Witherington, I'm like, you have to find the gold because I want it back. And he goes, it wasn't ours. It was ours. In 1712, an English ship was sailing with brand new purified gold from the islands, which took over 40 years to get. Damn Spanish hijacked our ship. And then took it to Cuba, and then 2 years later they tried to sail off with it. Well, what do you think most of that in that chest is? It's our gold. Correct, I want it back. And of course I'm fighting for my sovereignty. He goes, I'll find it, Your Highness, be better. Your academic standing based on it. And of course he scurries off. And I still don't like him because he's related to you know who. And I'm like, get my ship ready. We're leaving? Of course, I don't trust him with that much money. So we take a bigger airship and follow him, which leads into other issues, like my crew doing goofy things and challenging me to dance-offs and things like that, which I won't get into yet. Yeah, you're laughing. I lose that 40 pounds now. You're going to see me do the hornpipe in full fashion. So I did about, it was what, how many years ago was it? About 6, 7 years ago? I did the dance out here. I did the jig, right? The teeter.
Oh, yeah.
For about 3 minutes. Yeah, mind you, I did have to sit down for 20, but I did do it. And, but I wanted to do some fun stuff. Plus I wanted new costumes, so I have been looking, and I found an actual, in England only, of course. They have to get everything from Pakistan still, because they're evidently the only country that does bullion. In the fashion need, in the, are you going to, let's get the name wrong? Sutesh. On my sleeves, it is a real admiral's greatcoat with hat and the whole thing. Of course, mine will have all the imperial stuff on it, and I'll have special. I'm trying to find really good, bright, silver binoculars and the whole thing. I want it to be really funny. And then I showed yesterday in the concept stuff, I showed people some previews to what we're doing, what the boys will be wearing, which is more like vests and turtlenecks and kind of seamen's caps, but it's for the aerial nautical. So it's a little different, but the idea is to bring the nautical in. And plus, it's sort of a fun theme because there's so much to play with. But, so there's just, the story is truly an archaeological, you gotta find it, but the teams have to get there. And as they get there, the idea that is we're going to keep unfolding it so everyone can see what's next. Like, we found this, so this leads to this. So then we do the next thing. So this is an ongoing process for us, trying to decide how to create something you can do on your own, but also as part of the team. Does that make sense to everybody? Because I want to include as many people as we can, and this is new for us.
But the computer game Myst.
What?
Myst.
Yeah.
Puzzles to solve.
And it's, I mean, I don't play video games, which is sort of weird for me to say. I think everyone probably thinks I do. I'm more like my granddaughter when we got Fallen Jedi. Lincoln and Ike were playing. And I purposely bought the whole PlayStation just for that stupid game. And she goes, well, I want to play. And they're like, don't let her play, Grandpa. And I'm like, of course she can play. She smiles at me. And so Cal Kestis is on this large, round thing. And he's going like this. And she's doing it perfectly. And he goes, watch what she does. And she does this kind of like off an endless clip. And I'm like, Ray, don't. And she just jumps. I'm like, why'd you do that? She goes, because it bothers them. God, now I've got to wait another 4 lives for her to die. I'm going to take my time. Video games don't do it for me. If it was just targeting games or a tank game, I'm fine, you know? But I can't get into stories. It drives me nuts. So,
You want to rewrite them.
Well, maybe a little. I just, there isn't, it's either let's blow it up or I just want to see it as a movie. It's like, show me. But, so it's hard to try to figure that kind of structuring out, but it isn't bad. It's just we have to figure it out more. And it's a process. Travis now has some ideas. He's been very good about it. I mean, see what you don't see, and you will see this afternoon when you go through the room soon. All the trial and errors on foam that didn't work. The 4x8s were not always perfect. In fact, these two know I heard them swear plenty the last 3 months. And said here that, yeah, there was once he was on the phone with me. He's like, everything's going fine. And you just hear this, ouch, yes! And then they're like, what? And he goes, damn, and he showed me the picture. It was all done. 2.5 hours of cutting, and it just, the bit just sliced the whole thing in half. Oh. It takes forever. And then we had to get new bits, and we figured out how to cut it better, and it's a lot of, and you're looking at over $1,000 of foam. By the time you're done. And that doesn't include the time of painting and the brushes, and it's a lot. So this time I said, screw it, we're just going to have some kid I know make everything with the computer, we're cutting it out. Fine. So now we're trying to figure out how to do larger, it's called puzzling, but you take slices of it and then you form it. So it will be, but then we can add things into it like glowing stuff. Return to Atlantis, remember the film? Mm-hmm. Okay, remember how those things work? Sort of like that. So, and real quick, because I know that people want to come in. Well, it's up here. The teams. Everyone's like, I don't want to be a dinosaur. So I have the salty krakens, the royal seahorses, the dashing sharks, the ghostly pirates, and the dapper rexes. They each will have color combinations. Everyone gets a flag on the team, and you can wear, we're going to have the corresponding colors as soon as I can. I just couldn't do them all at once, because we just had the art done. So I'm working as fast as I can. But you'll have actual color combinations, and you can be like Hogwarts, where if you want to knit your scarves, you can be part of that. And so as your team is doing it, you'll have people doing things. But I was saying before, we found these Christmas ornaments that are large blow-up ones. And they're really nice. But as I was looking at the site, the guy has neon orange ones. And I sent them to Travis. He goes, what are these for? I said, what do you think? He goes, lava bubbles! I'm like, yes, lava. We got to figure out something with lava bubbles. Just because it's so stupid, we have to come up with something. So, Barbara's trying not to laugh about it. Real quick, I'll go over some stuff. People keep asking, what kind of things can we talk about? Well, I'll tell you. Part of the island is called Boom Boom Lagoon. And Boom Boom Lagoon is actually going to be the pool. And mermaids will be there. Now, the difference with Boom Boom is why they call it Boom Boom. It's during the Civil War of America, the mermaids went to like the Gulf and stole the mines. And they bring them back to the lagoon and place them there so boats cannot come in and hurt them. So that's what they call Boom Boom. So you can do the history of mermaids, underwater beings throughout time, sirens and witches of the deep, folklore at sea, nautical superstitions, myths of sailors, sailing vessels of the time, gadgets and gizmos on the high seas, firepower on the sea, sailors' uniforms and designs, hornpipes, the music of the sea, the Caribbean myths and legends, the people of the Caribbean, the Spanish gold and the history, ancient Central American exploration, ancient civilizations and exploration. And I already gave this out, so I'll say it. Atlantis, myths and stories. I won't say anymore. Plato and the myth of Atlantis. What ancient cultures knew of far-off lands. Roman exploration, which we're now learning to work off. So when you saw Mrs. Hawthorne's show that she did, and she talked about how this tree was in the Philippines that they used, they just found that out like 2 months ago from this new DNA AI stuff. They just, which means they did travel. or did something, which is really sort of interesting. How far did the Vikings travel? Pirates of the 1700s, female pirates and their infamous deeds, fantastic tales of plunder. That was just funny. Legends and myths of the Caribbean pirates, Kraken lore, the birth of the Kraken and the stories of the deep, true treasure hunting stories, booby traps and hidden secrets, burying treasures and the legends of the islands, sea creatures and lore, what lies beneath, scary stories of the sea, steampunk ships and luxury liners, new steamships of the late 1800s, ghostly tales of the deep, watery graves, death on the high seas. I'm trying to come up with all kinds of differences here. Voodoo, hoodoo, and who did it, superstitions of early Americans living on the Gulf, storms that made history, designing better steampunk clothes, hobbling and gathering for a costume, fixing and sewing and mending, how fabric was made, accessories for steampunks, designing a persona with clothes and style, creating patterns from scratch, photographing your cosplay, finding sets for your photo shoots, hats, canes, and head toppers. Now, the reason all those costume things are there is I thought it was about time. There's a lot of new people. And how many are here first time ever? Okay. There's a lot of new people. And so we're going to have the Steampunk 101, although I think we're overhauling it. And then we tend to forget that there are more and more new people again. And that's what we're trying to do, so we need to sort of go back to that. But we're also going to hit heavy on costuming next year. So a lot of it will be the speakers, the guests, will be costumers. Not necessarily professional grade ones, but people like Jen Greeley, Laura Wislett, my mind is sorry, it's shot today. Glenn Reyes from Chicago, who taught himself how to do all this stuff. And you know, I've asked them all, and he said, yeah, we'll teach it to teach you how to do some simple things so you can learn from them. But also to take the time so you can make other things, and we'll do things throughout the year now to promote that. I'm seeing if my other boy, Brent, who is getting married in July, can take time off, which I don't know if he can, but he's the lead costumer at the Seattle Repertory Theater and Ballet. And he does all their costumes. And I'm going to see if he can make it out for this, just so he can teach some courses. He's a milliner, he's a distresser, he's can be in the union for that, a leatherer, and a fabricator, so you can sew and make anything from patterns. But he's sort of the overall, because of what he does, you know, like 50 costumes in 2 weeks kind of a guy, and dyeing and everything else. So he's going to be, I'm going to see if he can come out and help us with stuff like that.
And do you foresee some Caribbean or calypso music like we had?
Oh, honey, you're going to hear it all weekend. I mean, we'll have some of the traditional waltzes. We have to. People like them. And I know some people, you know, I hear things. You guys got to tell me what you want, though. What time is it, dear? Okay, we'll be right out. I promise. Yep. So, you know, tell me the kind of music you want to hear. Now, hopefully you all like hornpipes and that kind of stuff, so that'll be part of it. But, yeah, that'll be it. So, any questions? Does it give you a sort of a clue in now what to expect? And it's nautical, and there are heavy stories involved, but again, it's taking its time to like start to remesh everything. So, anything you want to tell me? Nothing? You took good notes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you for another fabulous year.